Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are watching episodes 345 and 346 of Bleach. So before I went on my little mini vacation, we started the beginning of this final arc, or at least final for right now, and I went into this being like, it's gonna be more character driven. Because of that, it might be a little more chill in terms of like stressing me out, because I went through a lot of stress during the Arankar arc and all of the Espada and what have you, and I was like, it would be nice to have something that's a little more chill. And you know, the first episode was just sort of Ichigo going back to his life, checking in where everybody was on their final year of high school, and just sort of like, you know, having like part-time jobs and trying to figure out what they want to do when they graduate and stuff like that. And I was like, I can do this. There's some mystery with this like group of people that I'm like, I don't really know what to do with you. And then, you know, we met Ginju, who was kind of suspicious, but like I'm not really sure if he's actually gonna be like a adversary character, because it's like I said, when we got introduced to Shinji, he was also kind of like mysterious. So I don't know if that'll be what actually happens. Especially since he also has one of those like badge things that Ichigo got from Ukitake, of like him being a kind of substitute Soul Reaper thing. So it seems like he has some kind of direct connection with Soul Society. So I don't know about that. And then we had Ishida, and Ishida was being followed around by some guy reading a book who wasn't part of this new group that we were introduced to in this like bar pub thing. And then he was attacked. Ishida was attacked, and we ended off with an ambulance rushing to him because he's injured and laying in the streets, and I'm very upset about that. But you know, he's a Quincy and he has friends that are good at like healing and stuff. We've got like Orihime, so optimistic, but also put out that someone would hurt him, because I'm not okay with that. But it does seem like there's a bit of a mystery element to this season, which honestly I love mysteries, but I might be a little more stressed out than I thought I would be going into this arc. But let's just get into episode 345. In 3, 2, 1, go. See, I feel like this season is gonna be like super intense. Just from like I don't know, just considering that we're like 2 episodes in and I'm already panicking about the safety of some of the main cast. And yet, the intro is really chill. I feel like it's different stakes though. Like it's not like we have to fight Aiza and we have to like save a whole town of people and potentially like a soul society, or like the function of soul reapers at large. And instead it's more of a like personal side of things. But because I care so much about the characters, that like even that feels high stakes, just in a different way. See, because like that guy seems like the guy with the sword in the opener seems like the guy that had the book. But it seems like whatever group Ginjo is with, that it's different. Like there's a bunch of shots with Ginjo being like next to the like Ichigo and his friends. So I don't really know what, I think there's 2 different groups. And one of them is okay and the other one not so much. I want to know what his like mystery is though. Ugh, they're gonna make me live through it again. Hang on. Let me get my emotional support. I want to know what that is too. The like He seems to have slightly different abilities than we've seen before, maybe, or just like a different way of using them. Are they gonna end up at his clinic or somewhere else? I guess it depends where they're closer. It'd be messed up if he ended up at the like Kurosaki clinic. Yeah, just normal things, you know? Some violence, some kidnapping, just normal teenager stuff in anime. Yeah, you should definitely get out of the way. Oh my gosh, my brain just flashed back to when I watched Tokyo Ghoul, the construction site. Tatsuki's got those instincts. I mean, it does seem like there's someone rounding up all of the spiritual user people. I think specifically those that are connected to Ichigo. Who is your boss? I would like to know who the boss actually is. Is there a boss? I guess there kind of has to be. Someone at least who organizes people. Way to like low key intimidate somebody though. Oh, I always get a little bit worried when he's like near the river. Because I feel like that's always when he's dealing with the stuff that's like really bugging him. Like he's feeling guilty about stuff. I kind of feel like that was a good idea though. Like if he can't get his powers back, he needs to like stop carrying it with him. Look at you go. Good job. Be excited this time, Ichigo. Aw. Good, because you didn't praise her enough about her new uniform. The music is ominous though. I feel like he's like faking it and she knows. Like she knows something is bugging him and she's just like not sure whether or not to bring it up. Is that what it's like in your head? I think it happens slightly different. Yeah. Girl, you need to calm down, cause oh, her brother. See, that's like they were thinking that there was some kind of spiritual something like near him. That's a lot like what happened with Orihime and like with her brother, where she had like the bruises because he was like around. No, she's gonna find out. Does that mean that Hime is his like emergency contact? Sorry at the breaking the fourth wall there. Um, did he get the call too? Oh, I'm not ready. Oh my gosh, this is ominous. The fact that the curtain's drawn. Oh, I feel like not telling him is gonna make him feel worse though, because he's already like worried about not knowing stuff. That's what I'm saying. Are we still not being a great father son relationship? Look at him like quickly change his expression though. That worries me too. It's a little bit ominous, but I'm assuming he might want to talk to her about something that's like about, you know, spiritual stuff. And that doesn't include him, but it's gonna make him feel even more left out because he probably thinks that too. He feels like nobody's keeping him in the loop, like he's not part of their world anymore. Nope. So what are they? Because, ooh, not spiritual pressure. Interesting. I'm assuming that's the weird flame energy thing. But then how did, I mean, I guess Ginjo has the little badge thing that's connected to Soul Society, but that doesn't mean the rest of the people. Because I think that the person who attacked uh, Ishida is from a different group than Ginjo. But what are they then? Human. Interesting. Is it because the um Kyogyaku was like in the area for a while? Are they affected by that? The way that like Orihime and Sado were? Or where did they get their abilities? Oh, he feels like he's being like forgotten and left out, doesn't he? Because nobody's like, because they're deliberately keeping things from him. Probably because they don't want him to worry, but he will anyway. Where is he? Because it doesn't look like his room. I assume that that's the guy who attacked Ishida. Was it his bedroom? Because it really didn't look like it. I feel like he's trying really hard to like be normal, but like he's like they can tell that he's acting. It was because he's had his near-death experience that he's trying to capture the moment. See, they're keeping stuff from him too. But he knows that you're not telling him. That's what's causing issues. Ominous figure? Oh, the guy that was working with Ginjo is back. Uh-oh. I don't know if I can take more people getting hurt. Oh no. It's true. Even before you were a Soul Reaper, you would have gone and helped them. I remember the backstory with Sado. Plus, this is like Ichigo in his element when he can help people or feels like he can help people. Is the construction site the same one that Sado works at? Careful. Oh. See, I feel like this is connected to Ginjo, who's like trying to like push him to being desperate. Why are we? Why? I mean, he definitely isn't helpless. Book guy. Well, now I'm nervous about this. Because if that's the guy that attacked Ishida, mm-hmm. He knows something's going on. I wonder if it's connected to Ishin, like whatever he's doing. Because he just hasn't been around. But Ginjo had the picture of him, so we know he's doing something. Oh. See, this is what I was saying. Like, he's gonna try and make Ichigo desperate. Oh no. I'm worried though. But you don't even know what you're joining. Ichigo. I'm so, like, I'm so worried about him. But I also, like, I don't know what he can do. Like, at the same time, like, I understand why he's, like, frustrated and feeling helpless because, like, he spent so long being someone who could do something to help and was, like, the go-to. There was a problem that someone was having. They would go to Ichigo and they would like tell him about it. He would know about it. And now he just like doesn't know. Like he can't even sense spiritual pressure. So like he doesn't even know if he can't even sense if there's something going on and like go and investigate. Oh, he must be formal. What was that pose? It was. I like that he's just like back to where he was before. It's true. They're both doctors to some extent. That episode went a lot into what I was talking about, like the last couple of episodes, where like my main concern was that I can feel that Ichigo is becoming more and more desperate about the fact that like he feels powerless. He's just a human, which like in and of itself isn't like a huge issue, but because he's used to being part of this like spiritual Soul Reaper Hollows kind of world, and now that he's just a human, he has all of these people in his life who are like still part of all of that. And because of that, they're like trying to shelter him, I think. They're like not telling him stuff because they don't want him to get worried or like try to get involved, because they're trying to like keep him as far away from it as possible. But at the same time, because they're doing that, it's like adding to that desperation, because he doesn't have a clue what's going on. And if he had his spiritual pressure still, he would have an idea. Like he'd be able to sense when stuff was going on. He'd be able to help out where he could. Like I said before, like he was kind of the go-to person. Like if someone needed help, they would go to Ichigo. And the fact that he can't help, like even when he can sense that something's wrong, he tries to distance himself from it because he feels like he can't help. And I feel like that's very different from what I'm used to seeing from Ichigo, because normally when we saw Ichigo and he would sense that something was wrong, he would just face it head on. Like he would just ask someone straight out about what was going on. But now he feels like he can't, because he feels like he, even if he did know, knowing might almost be worse. Like it's an almost like ignorance is bliss kind of feeling to it. And because of that, he feels like the only way that he can get involved, the only way that he can help someone is if he has some kind of ability or some kind of power to help him out. And I feel like that's something that Ginjo is feeding off of. Like he's hoping to make Ichigo desperate enough that he calls him, that he joins execution. It's supposed to be execute. It's supposed to sound like execution, I'm assuming. He's hoping that he will join, he'll call, he'll like get involved with that group because he has some kind of interest in him. I'm not really sure what the connection quite is yet, because they seem to know quite a bit about who he is. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that they know who Ishin is and like what he's been up to. I think that probably whatever Ishin is doing, it's connected to probably Ishida's dad, maybe also Unohana or Urahara, because Urahara usually knows what's going on, and I feel like they've like Urahara and Ishin have had like conversations over the years with each other, so I feel like those three are probably working on something in the background, and it's connected to whatever Ginjo is doing with his group. And I don't know if this guy with the book who attacked Ishida is connected to Ginjo. I feel like he isn't necessarily. I feel like he's just kind of around. Like I feel like even though that guy that was connected to Ginjo was attacking Ichigo's friends, I feel like book guy wasn't exactly like with him. He was just like observing what was going on because he might have an interest in like Ichigo himself, or maybe it had something to do with Ishida's dad being around. Maybe it's a Quincy interest. I really don't know, but let's just move on to episode 246. In 3, 2, 1, go. I'm very worried about the fact that he just like made the phone call and he's like, sign me up for whatever this execution thing is. Because, like I said, he doesn't even know what he's signing up for. Like, he doesn't know what the group does. He doesn't know what it means to be a member. What are the strings? What's the fine print? I worry about him a lot right now. Because he seems very lost. I do want to know what this, like, other power seems to be. This, like, humans that have something that's, like, other than spiritual pressure. Because I feel like that's a setup for what's going to happen to Ichigo. Like, if we need humans that can have abilities that doesn't have anything to do with spiritual pressure, that feels like a setup to be like, how do we give Ichigo powers again without it just being a Soul Reaper thing? Okay, but can we talk about how smooth the animation was for him talking right there? It's just oddly satisfying to see like really smooth animation. It's not necessary like most of the time, but every once in a while it's a wonderful detail. This is very like Secret Club-esque with all of the like need to follow like special steps. I also love the lighting that they're doing with the eyes. I don't really know what the difference is, but there's weird like I don't know shade on like the main part of the eye, but then like really contrastive highlights with like a tint to them, which probably isn't important, but I appreciate it from like an aesthetic point of view. Yes, what's wrong with Sado? Well, that worries me. What's wrong with Sado? Oh no. We just have multiple shots of not being able to see Ichigo's eyes, and it's because he's hiding it. He's hiding that he's got plans. And even there, his eyes are closed. Keeping secrets of his own. Everybody's keeping secrets from each other. Can we just communicate? Can we share what's going on with each other? Please, so we can help each other out, offer diverse opinions. I mean, I'd like to believe that Sado is completely fine, but at the same time, like, Ishida was taken out. Maybe he's helping work on whatever this thing is. Because Ishida's dad talked about this like new power being close to like Sado and Orahime's power. So maybe he talked to Sado about it and he's working on it in some way. There's been a lot of like darker scenes like as well, just talking about like the lighting of people's eyes. But there's been a lot of like dusk sunset scenes. See? That's so sweet. See, this is cool lighting too. Am I just being distracted by it now? Maybe. But the aesthetic is distinctly different, I feel. Oh my gosh, I was gonna say punctual too, and I like that that's the caption. See, does it not bother Ichigo that he knows that the guy who supposedly attacked his friends is connected to Ginjo? And also, Ginjo had a picture of his dad. Good, don't trust him, that's what I'm talking about. I just want Ichigo to be careful. Because there's a lot of suspicious stuff going on. We just going into the dimly lit building with a stranger who for some reason really wants to know about your dad. A rundown building. I'm just saying. Like, are we not worried? I feel like we should be worried. Like, cautious, at least. That would be good to know. And how do you plan on doing that? Is this Pigtails girl? Is that Sado? Because tall, quiet, The really tropical Hawaiian print shirt. We did show his face on purpose. I feel like I'm trying to figure out too many mysteries simultaneously. See, the shadows are so strong in this. It's very stylistic and like distinct to this arc as opposed to previous ones. I feel like it adds to like a kind of mystery. Like it's almost like everyone is kind of in a space of like, you know, like you say like something is like black and white, something is good or bad, and it's like everyone is kind of like half shadow, half light, which is like this ambiguity that everybody's kind of somewhere in between, which is an interesting aesthetic. Weird, but okay. Come again? Yes. So it is like an energy manipulation thing. I mean, but we're describing that as a soul. Okay. So it's like certain people born with this ability, or is it just something you can learn? Whoa. So the necklace is a sword? Sure. Say, I was talking about how it's dark too. What's wrong with the glasses? Is it my boy? Knew it. I don't know why he's part of this, but I recognize my boy anywhere. Ain't nobody wear shirts like that. Yes, I would like to know. I would like to know why I said. I mean, I'm assuming because his power is similar to whatever this manipulating souls of objects thing is. The full bringer thing. I mean, Sado also seemed shocked to see Ichigo there. So I'm assuming he wasn't part of. Like, he didn't know that they were looking for Ichigo. that's that's the immediate response. It is slightly intimidating. Yeah, see, ruining the tile too unnecessarily. Because the chain is gone? Yeah. The like soul chain thing? I guess I never really thought about why their masks are the way that they are. So their connection is being in proximity to a hollow before they're born? So it's connected to hollows in some way? Soul Reapers? So they want to give their power to Ichigo? Like use him as a vessel? Sure. I mean, that is a good point. I feel like he wouldn't miss it quite as much if everything was fine with his friends and family. Like, I feel like Ichigo would have made his peace with it. I think the only reason he's interested in getting some kind of power is because his friends need his help. But I don't know how much of that is, like, whatever book guy is doing, and how much of that is, like, Genjo and friends pushing him. Like, making him believe that his friends aren't safe. So that he'll be a vessel for them. I just feel a lot of unknowns about what's going on. Which is kind of an interesting take on things. Because I feel like with a lot of Bleach up to this point, it's been fairly clear early on who, like, the adversaries were. And then they, like, got more complex as we, like, learned more about them. And it became more ambiguous about whether or not they were, like, evil, because Bleach doesn't do things in black and white, so it kind of start off very black and white, and then it would, develop into something more nuanced. Whereas, like, this season, it's kind of like trying to figure out who's friend and who's, like, maybe manipulating people. I don't want to say necessarily, like, bad, because I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's just a matter of, like, who, like, if they want the same things that, like, line up with what, like, Ichigo and his friends want. And if they're, like, opposing, like, motivations, then it could cause some issues. I want to know why Sado is part of it. And, like, is it because he has a similar power and he's hoping to get rid of it? Like, what is his motivation for being there? Kiriko? Jackie? Yukio? Everyone seems to make her angry. So we finally have some kind of explanation or, like, foundation for this power that has come up. I'm assuming that Book Guy also has the same ability as Ginjo and his group were showing off. He still seems like a bit of an outlier from that group, so I want to say that he's not connected to them, but, like, not, like, directly, but they're connected in the sense that, like, they have a similar ability and perhaps have a similar goal in that they want to, like, put their abilities in someone who's, like, born human and Soul Reaper, and, like, wanting to become normal humans again because their power is, like, connected to hollows in some way. Well, not in some way, I mean connected to hollows because their mother was attacked before they were born by a hollow, but you know what I mean. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he's still separate from it. I feel like there's still two groups going on, and like I was saying, I feel like there's just, like, there's a lot of mystery around, like, who the adversary is. I don't want to say, like, villain, because I feel like that simplifies it a lot, but there's a lot of ambiguity about like what exactly we're fighting up against, you know, like and whether or not people are truly have like good intentions. And I was talking about that with specifically the use of shadows and stuff. Like everyone seems kind of half shadow, half light. Like everyone seems kind of in this weird in between place where they could go either way. And I feel like that's a very nuanced thing that Bleach does a lot, but I feel like it fits really well with this season because it seems that like both of these groups, you know, Ginjo and Book Guy, whose name I still don't know, but those two are both humans who happen to have abilities, and humans inherently have like, you know, good and evil in them. They have ambiguity because they have free will. They can choose to do things that are like thought of as right, and even then, like just because a specific human thinks something is right doesn't mean that another person will. And that was kind of what I was talking about too, where like if your objective, if your focus, what you're trying to, your goal, what you're trying to get at is like the right thing to do in your brain, but it isn't to somebody else, then it's not like necessarily that like one of you is bad or one of you is good. It's just that like you have different objectives, and if they oppose each other in some way, then you're going to interfere with each other, but that doesn't make one like less good or less evil. So I definitely feel like casting a bunch of like shadows and kind of having this kind of half light, half dark effect on the show, the aesthetic in general, and having these sections where like it's at like dusk or like sunset, where it is kind of this weird in between where it's like it's not quite dark yet, but it also isn't like light and sunny. There's like a lot of like high contrast between light and shadow, that we're still in kind of this weird place where, because everyone's just human who's trying to like do what they think is the right thing to do, or like trying to get what they're interested in, what their goal is, it has all this ambiguity about what exactly is going on. I think there's a lot of mystery too with just Ichigo not really knowing what's going on with everybody, but I like that that's the approach that we're going with this season. Like not only just like the aesthetic of doing that as like a visual representation, but like I also love that it's not like, okay, here's the good guys and the bad guys, and then we'll get more nuanced as we go through the season and we like learn about who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And instead it's like, is there a villain? Is there a bad guy? Is there a specific thing that we're fighting up against? And there's a lot of ambiguity mixed up with that, and maybe that'll clarify, I'm assuming, as we go through the season, that eventually there will be like a thing to fight, and that'll be like the objective. Like what I was saying before about how I think the reason that we're setting up this kind of like human ability thing is because we need to give Ichigo some powers, and maybe not necessarily his Soul Reaper powers back, but like, I mean, they were saying it would give him his Soul Reaper powers back, but if anything, it'll give him some kind of power, because they wanted to like put their abilities into Ichigo. So I'm assuming that he's going to get some kind of powers again to be able to like manipulate the souls of like objects and stuff, and then that'll be like his way of getting back into some kind of confrontation that has to do with like supernatural things. I mean, it's a shonen. I feel like we're gonna have to finish with some kind of physical confrontation, but there's definitely a different atmosphere to this season, and I really enjoy it. I want to know what Sado's connection is to all of this. I'm assuming it's because his abilities are similar to these humans in some way. We don't know a whole lot about Sado's backstory. We know like he was living with his grandfather. Mexico, they were living in Mexico together, right? And then he moved back to Japan after his grandfather passed away, but we don't know a lot about like his parents or like his sort of heritage in the way that we know about like Ishida's parents. We know about a little bit about Ichigo's. So I feel like I don't know exactly. His powers have always been kind of weird and an outlier, same with Orahime's, and I like that we're kind of diving more into the mystery of that, because there's been a lot of seeds planted about like what exactly their ability is. So I like that we're getting maybe some information about where that's at, but there's a lot of mystery vibes to the season. I'm really enjoying that side of it. Not so much the stress that I feel about, you know, Ichigo's friends being attacked, because I care about them, but I do like a good mystery. So I like that it's a very strong kind of tonal shift, but not in a very jarring way, which I appreciate. It's hard to kind of pull that off sometimes. So I like that we're kind of getting into something that's a little bit unique from what the rest of the show has been. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you don't miss the next time I post a Bleach video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!